Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is the third installment of the underpaid workers who don't get paid enough to do this shit game. A long time ago, there was supposedly a large restaurant that was a local urban legend due to kids supposedly being killed there by the owner. And due to those children's deaths, they then haunted the robots that performed there. A bunch of security guards on night shift go missing. More children die. It finally goes out of business and boom. We're in the 21st century where a bunch of people decided to capitalize on a bunch of kids' deaths to make a quick buck. Supposedly on March 2nd, 2023, a horror attraction is due to open. That leads us to where you are, a security guard working night shift in this brand spanking new horror attraction dedicated to the local urban legend from long ago, if you consider the 80s to be that long ago. Actually, now that I think about it, the 80s was pretty long ago. Some might say the late 1900s. Apparently, not only did they not learn any lessons from the first place by having a night watch, they also decided to give him just as outdated equipment as the other dude had, if not more outdated. I swear to fucking God, if these things went out, you could get some old senile grandpa out of the retirement village to fix them for you. Then maybe he would also fix the faulty as fuck lighting in here as well, since this place seems to also be running on a Duracell battery, only now it seems to have another A added to it. Not only is this place a complete unnecessary mess, it also seems to be a massive lawsuit waiting to happen, since the ventilations along with the wiring can easily cause this place to burn to the ground. Worst day ever for the 13 or so odd people who get burned alive in this quote-unquote horror attraction. But OSHA's dream come true when it comes to money and tax write-offs. This place is a horror attraction, all right, but maybe not for the reasons they want it to be. On top of being incredibly insensitive and tone-deaf, this place also contains a horrifying robot that seems to follow the same hygiene routine as a Discord moderator because he stinks so bad whatever house he lives in has to be quarantined 3 blocks out due to the stench, leaving only men in hazmat suits and gas masks to come in and clean up after the abomination as it talks to its kitten over voice chat. The game opens with a newspaper article like the previous games. This time, though, it's an advertisement as opposed to a job offering. Coming soon, Fazbears Fright, the horror attraction. Local amusement park is getting ready to scare your socks off with a new attraction based on the unsolved mysteries of Freddy Fazbears Pizza. Featuring actual relics from the decades-old pizzeria, this new attraction is guaranteed to bring back your childhood in the worst way possible. So outside of not only being somewhere boomers would go to, because nobody in their right minds would advertise a place opening up in the newspaper, but this place is supposedly made as a walk down memory lane for people who must have gone to the place when it first opened. So in other words, this is like taking a Vietnam veteran back to where he got his leg shot off, because the only people who remember this place are PTSD patients. After getting a phone call from the supposed manager of this hellhole, he tells you that he just needs you to monitor the place, making sure things don't get stolen, yada yada. Okay, fair enough, whatever. There isn't anything here tonight. You just get to soak in the environment while getting a hold of the mechanics. To your right you have the camera system. This is nothing new if you played the other 2 games. Only difference here being that you can swap between the cameras in the hallways and ones in the vents. Why would I need cameras in the ventilation system? I mean, sure, I guess to make sure there aren't any rats chewing on wires. Now to your left there's another panel, only this one is new. It's some kind of rebooting panel, dedicated to rebooting anything that might fail you. Okay, I guess that works fine enough. Getting a good look at this place definitely isn't that scary or intimidating. It's meant for people walking through to get this feeling as if they were there while the events from the first game were happening. You see all of these old arcade cabinets and get a lot of this 80s Chuck E. Cheese vibe, a lot of these props being from the old place. Now I would assume after it closed all of the stuff that was in it was either stored in a warehouse somewhere or sold off in some auctions. However, given that after it shut down there was some kind of bad omen surrounding the place, nobody would want anything from it. Of course, maybe the odd collector would come around someday and buy things as souvenirs, since this place would have been worth a lot due to the stories and history of what happened there, and that is where I'm assuming all of this shit came from. If not from a collector, then probably some kind of facility that would house old forgotten shit like this. I could only imagine how bad this place stinks, since all of this stuff probably hasn't been washed in years. Seeing all of the animatronics from the first place being hollowed out and put onto clothing stands for display gives me this sense of death, or being out of one's prime. What once were children's entertainment now stand as a display for a long-lost era, as if this was their retirement. Foxy having his head being hung like a chandelier, Chica having her head laid on the floor for people's feet to pass, Bonnie's head and body being held up by a stand for passers-by, and Freddy himself being put right outside your office. I almost feel like it's some kind of callback to when you would almost die from the power running out in the first game, which would be somehow poetic in a way I can't understand. After the clock turns over to 6 a.m., your shift is over, you can go home and sleep until tomorrow night. You make it back to your shitty desk job as the man calls back. Unlike in the first game, this person appears to be directly calling you as opposed to leaving you messages from nights prior. The guy talks about how they opened up a back room in the old pizzeria and found a lot of authentic stuff along with something else. They found one, a real one. Then, like the asshole he is, he hangs up and leaves you stranded with whatever they unleashed inside of this place. But whatever they did put in here with you probably wasn't anything too dangerous, was it? He says you might see it wandering around somewhere, very comforting. So as a naive young adult, probably just trying to pay off his student loans, you look in the camera system for whatever he might be talking about. Eventually you see it, just barely visible in the static. There is something in here with you, and whatever that thing is, it looks horrifying. Foolishly, you don't let your fear get the better of you and continue to do whatever it was that you were doing, probably homework. I swear the professor is going to pay. I mean, seriously. Who had the bright idea to put letters in math? You're too distracted fuming over A going into B, you didn't stop to realize that thing was wandering through the halls of this place, getting closer and closer to you, and right as you were on the verge of discovering that to put A into B, you have to cancel out the 600 below it, you hear something. A loud banging sound, the vents. You rush to check the cameras and switch it to those odd vent cams. There he is. The damn thing is crawling through the ventilation system like a dirty old rat. You close it off before he can make it to your office. You hear more loud banging as the room you're in begins to flash red with a loud alarm. Then you look to your right and flip up the other panel and realize the vents are out. After rebooting it, you look back over to where your cameras are, and there he is, standing in front of you, looking at you through the glass. Don't know how much time has passed. All I know is that it feels like forever, but no one ever tells you that forever feels like home, sitting all alone inside your head. What were we talking about again? Oh yeah, him. There is a reason people are petitioning for this character to be in Dead by Daylight. Springtrap has to be one of the most genius slasher characters ever conceived. I mean, the general design of Springtrap is merely an after effect of the character's backstory. William Afton, the man who murdered all of the children at the original place, gets haunted by the children he killed and became so traumatized he got into one of the old, wet, and faulty springlock suits from the original establishment to get away from the torment. But since those old suits must have been made with bear traps and knives held together by scotch tape, the slightest wrong breath can cause the thing to go haywire and crush whoever is wearing the suit. Because of this, William ends up dying after all of his internal organs get stabbed, skewered, and crushed, leaving nothing more than a lifeless husk inside of an already rotting and decaying children's entertainment suit. As the murderer slowly fades away and gets what he deserved, Satan must have thought death was too good for him, so he was left on Earth to haunt the robot he was crushed inside of, basically cursed to roam the world through his own rotting creation. The design, as I said, is an after effect of this origin, the suit of Springtrap being this old, disgusting greenish yellow, the fabric having multiple holes due to all of the mold and decay, showing old wiring and human organs wrapped around a metal endoskeleton. Buttons slowly falling off one by one, reminding you this suit was once made to entertain children, but now it has become pure nightmare fuel. One of the things ears are missing. It doesn't have actual feet anymore, leaving metal stubs where they used to be, and then the eyes. The eyes stare piercing daggers into your soul. I can't tell if they're the robot's eyes or William's. Springtrap isn't your traditional form of a cyborg. Yes, he does fit the typical criteria for one by being half human and half machine, but the thing is, the part of him that is human is dead and decaying. All he has become is a lumbering piece of machinery with a decaying corpse inside of it, haunted by the corpse entombed within. While the robot isn't controlled by his dead body, it is controlled by his spirit. I'd like to imagine he can feel both the sensations of the robot he's controlling along with the pain of his dead corpse rotting inside. All the maggots and flies eating him, beetles crawling out of his body and up his suit. I prefer this form of a personal hell for William to endure over whatever the fuck Ultimate Custom Night was. Way more suiting. You could imagine how bad he smells. Probably worse than a Reddit moderator after a 7 billion karma grinding session. Wherever he is, you could probably smell him at least 5 miles away, like a dump truck emptied several huge loads of garbage on top of wherever a city stores all of the shit and piss it collects from the sewer system. The way he moves, probably being half robotic and half meth head, I would imagine he would be both slow and lumbering along while also being quick and sporadic, like there is a human somewhere in there trying desperately to escape its confined state. The voice box it uses would be malfunctioning, having a mix of words that the robot was originally supposed to say on stage, along with the desperate communications of the spirit inside. Springtrap is probably one of the best characters in gaming, but he is severely underutilized, never actually getting a chance to shine on his own 2 metal stubs. The bits and pieces we see of him aren't enough, and I just wish he would appear in more stuff than just 5 Nights at Freddy's 3. I would be down for seeing his character in Dead by Daylight. Well, whatever happened last night must have been nothing. After all, the thing never actually did anything, did it? If it did, you probably didn't see it. You should only focus on that algebra instead. The old rumors and legends of Freddy Fazbears Pizzeria are just that. Local urban legend and folklore. There's absolutely nothing to be worried about. You were merely panicking for no reason at all. The thing in here with you hasn't moved yet. Maybe last night wasn't anything important. After all, this thing was originally programmed to be curious, wasn't it? I would assume so. It needs to be appealing to children. Another hour goes by. Eventually you hear it again, the same sound from last night. He's in the vents again, isn't he? You check the cameras and realize he's in the vent that leads right into your office. You quickly shut it before anything could happen. Then everything starts flashing red. Back over at the control panel, it appears your sound system went out. After rebooting it, you look back over at your camera. Camera goes out. Well, that's a bummer. You close the camera and get jumped by the stupidest thing in this game, phantom animatronics. The reason I find them stupid is because not only do they serve no other purpose to gameplay other than fucking up a good flow you got going, but they don't even make any sense canon-wise. What the fuck are they? The dead children's spirits? The spirits of the dead children are still back at the old pizzeria, so the only thing these things could be are hallucinations. However, I still have a hard time believing that. This place may be stuffy due to poor venting and might be hotter than hell because everything here is a fire hazard, but unless the main character has schizophrenia, I highly doubt he's constantly seeing these things. Not only that, but when they jump scare you, they can cause things to fail, so either it's a constant coincidence or these aren't just hallucinations. You can't change my mind on them. They're stupid and I hate them. They do nothing other than slow down the gameplay for the sake of doing so and don't make any sense within the canon of the story. Fuck them. You check back on the control panel to realize that little shit caused both your cams and vents to go offline. You do a system reboot before eventually realizing that in the chaos you completely forgot about whatever that thing is they put here. After a full reboot, you flip down the panel just to see him staring around the corner. You stare back. This is it. Life and death. Kill or be killed. You slowly roll back. You lock your eyes with whatever that thing is. Don't look away, otherwise you might regret it. You quickly turn to access the cameras, but it's too late. The last thing you see is that monster taking one last step towards you as it lets out a bellowing shriek. Well, there you guys go. It took me a while to write the script for this video, but at least it got finished. Regarding the series going forward, I'm done with it. Like I said, I prefer to keep my head canon that only the first and third game are canon. Everything else is shit made to please people who wanted more for the sake of more. Next up, hopefully, is the King Kong 2005 review. If not, it'll probably be another game. Like, subscribe, have a fantastic day, and remember, I regret nothing.
You're never gonna make it, you're not good enough. There's a million other people with the same stuff. You really think you're different? Man, you must be kidding. Think you're gonna hit it, but you just don't get it. It's impossible, it's not probable, you're irresponsible. Too many obstacles, you gotta stop it, yo. You gotta take it slow, you can't be a pro. Don't waste your time no more. Who the fuck are you to tell me what